Okay, so dependence versus independence training. Then we talked about personality norms. There are statistical norms and there are evaluative norms. So we want to be sure what we're talking about here when we talk about what's normal. Um, Statistically, this is the middle of the range of behaviors, and if you fall out of that range, then that's out of the norm. That's one way of looking at norms. Evaluative norms is saying, well, this is the right way to go, and if you do it the other way, you're wrong. And so we want to be careful there when we talk about norms and values in anthropology when we study it. Cultural bound disorders. Don't worry too much about that. Field work. What we do as anthropologists, cultural anthropologists, is participant observation. We hang out with the people. We participate in what they're doing, and then we observe them doing it. It's a paradox because you can't participate while you're observing. You got to stand outside and watch, and you can't observe while you're participating because you're right in the middle of it. You can't see what's going on. So going back and forth between participating and observing. We've already talked about the uh, emic versus etic, but we have some wiggles in there. We have emically perceived reality and edically perceived reality. So if you're looking for um, what if you're looking for estimates, right? Estimates of what people are actually doing. Um, the emically perceived reality is going to be an insider's just sort of best guess. The edically perceived reality is going to be someone with some technical training or some hard data who's also going to give a guess, but it's going to be closer probably to the real culture, which is the measurement. Choosing informants, we can use random samples where we, generate a population and then sample that randomly, which is quite difficult to do. We could go with a a judgment sample. What did we call the judgment sample uh, in here? Key informants. The anthropologist decides this person is more knowledgeable about this topic, so I'm going to ask them. Um, so you use your own judgment. We also have snowball samples where we ask people who are interested in the topic to recommend other people we could talk to. We want to avoid leading questions overall. We don't want to try to determine what the answer is going to be. We want to let the people determine what their answers are going to be. And so we do that by instead of saying, why are you doing that? Why are you, cooking dinner? Or why are you washing the clothes like that? Ask them more open-ended questions like, tell me about what you're doing, right? We're trying to avoid the leading questions. We have a code of ethics. Basically, don't hurt people, don't be evil. You're always on the side of the group that asks you to come and observe them because it is a violation of privacy. And so we always have usually our strongest um, allegiances to the group that we're studying. Um, Applied anthropology, digital participatory action research, these are all good things. Muckle, Chapter 9, language. Know the following. Language, speech, culture plus language. Language and culture are very, very closely connected. Non-human primate language. So we have various kinds of languages out there among non-human animals. Uh, Basically, human beings can make sound that contributes to spoken language due to 4 different differences in the mouth and the throat. Let's be reminded of these very quickly. We're on to language. Let's see. Oh, there's all those wonderful definitions. uh, Goodness, we don't even have those differences in the throat. Okay, let's toss those. Hold on. Something we lost. That's okay. Assign an index a symbol, the sign is something that stands for something else. There are two kinds of signs, indexical signs and symbolic signs. An index is a sign that points directly to something else in a non-arbitrary way, whereas a symbol is arbitrary. There's no direct relationship between the symbol and the thing it's symbolizing. Three unique features of human language: displacement, deception, and productivity. These are key here. It's important. Displacement has to do with displacing yourself from the thing you're talking about, either through time or through space, right? Displaced in time. I'm doing that tomorrow morning. I did that 5 years ago. Or through displacement through space. I'm doing that 2 counties over. On the other side of the world, this is what's going on right now. So, displacement, animals don't do that. Animals don't do displacement. Deception, there may be some deception in animals, but humans do it much better and much more intuitively. And then productivity, that's the second really big one that animals just don't do. When non-human apes, non-human primates are taught to use sign language, they don't really have very many different sentences. They say the same sentence over and over again. Ball, want ball now, give ball, eat now, eat food. They just have like, a limited number of sentences, whereas any human language, you give them, a few sounds, they make a few thousand words, and next thing you know, they're making millions and millions and millions of sentences, very, very easily. That's how humans are anywhere around the planet. Animals are not like that. Linguistic anthropology. This is the subfield of anthropology that studies language. Recording language. There's 5 elements of grammar here: phonetics, phonemics, morphology, syntax, and semantics. Phonetics has to do with all the sounds that can be made in by the human body, especially the mouth and throat. So there's loads and loads and loads of sounds that are never used in a single language. A single language is going to use a very limited number of sounds, but those are going to be distinguishable. So that's phonemics, is within a single language, what's the system of sounds that works in that language. This is why you don't necessarily aren't able to say names from foreign languages. It's because your own language doesn't form those sounds very easily. So minimal pairs, this is where we figure out whether the sound actually works in a systematic way in your language, is through the minimal pairs. Can you distinguish between pa and ba, etc.? Morphology is where we get meaning attached to those, where we get words, which are free morphemes, they can stand alone, and bound morphemes that are morphemes that carry meaning, but they don't exist apart from their connection to a free morpheme. Syntax is the order that words are put into to make meaningful sentences in syntax, right? There's a connection there. Sequence, it's words in a series or a sequence of words, and there we have sentences. Usually when we talk about parts of speech, this is where it comes in with nouns and verbs and all that. Semantics is meaning beyond the sentence level, more broader domains of meaning, different kinds of speech, different kinds of talking, etc. Pragmatics has to do with the way language is used, the uses to which language is put, practical uses. Let's see what we said about pragmatics, because it's a lot of different things. Social context of language use. There you go. An utterance is a speech act. Studying why someone said something and what they were trying to do with it is almost just as important as studying what they said in the first place. It's nonverbal communication. We have gesture. We have paralanguage. The silent language of space, the way space is used, the way movement is used to talk, tone, and such things. Emphasis, the way we touch one another, how close we are when we're doing it, the way we use time, These are all important parts of communication, nonverbal communication, that are very interesting to anthropologists. So we'll put off Sabir Whorf until the next time.